Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tonislava Docheva, and I'm a product marketing manager at Xray. And today I'm joined by Chris Screes, our product manager. Xray is delivering practical, secure, and truly useful AI capabilities for QA teams. And today we're going to show you how AI can help you move faster, improve coverage, and strengthen quality without sacrificing control. So let's see what's on the agenda for today. First, we're going to introduce you to Sambi IQ, the AI engine behind Xray's AI capabilities. Next, we're going to deep dive into Xray's AI capabilities, including AI test case generation and AI test model generation. And we're going to have demos of each of those features. Then we're going to see what's coming next in AI innovations, including AI automated script generation and AI test prioritization. Finally, we're going to recap Xray's newest app additions and how AI features map to each of the additions. Finally, we'll finish with a 15-minute Q&A, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat at any time, and we'll address them at the end. But before we jump into the capabilities, we want to understand the challenges that QA teams are trying to solve. And one of the biggest QA challenges that QA teams face today is the process of manual test case design, which can become slow, tedious, and prone to missed scenarios. This makes test design a bottleneck to productivity. When writing tests manually, teams also risk missing edge cases, duplicating effort, and introducing inconsistencies. And this is especially accurate in fast-paced, moving, agile environments. What testers want to do is to explore and validate, but instead they're stuck documenting and writing test cases. And AI is one of the ways in which teams can solve the issue of manual test case design. However, testers need AI that's actually built for quality. Generic AI tools often generate irrelevant test cases. They can miss critical context and produce even more cleanup work. So instead of helping testers, they create more noise. Xray takes a different approach. It's AI that assists testers. And what our AI capabilities can do is turn requirements into structured test cases in just seconds, reduce the effort of repetitive writing, and always keep humans in the loop. So the AI suggests and the testers validate. And this is a balance between speed and control that's really essential in real QA environments. So let's take a look at Xray's AI capabilities, which are powered by Sambi IQ, our purpose-built AI engine for testing. And unlike generic AI tools that produce noise or even off-target results, Sambi IQ is trained on software testing concepts, as well as requirement structures and real-world QA workflows. And this is exactly what enables Xray AI capabilities to deliver accurate, contextual, and explainable outputs that testers actually trust. And let's see our first AI capability, which is AI test case generation. And this feature converts requirements into structured, manual, or BDD tests instantly. But we didn't want a black box approach. Instead, this AI capability generates full test cases immediately. Before that, we introduce a review, edit, and a select step. So the AI proposes the test titles and descriptions, but then the user or tester reviews and decides which to keep or modify. Xray then generates the full structured test cases. And this reduces the rework and ensures the quality of the test suite from the very start. We recently did a beta program of AI test case generation and received some very positive feedback. And one of the most important and useful evidence we found was that the AI was able to cover important requirements and generate useful edge cases. We also get some really good testimonials and feedback, and one enterprise customer told us that the AI generated a comprehensive and accurate set of tests for a very complex integration requirement without missing steps. So this really confirms our focus on creating test cases that are valuable. And now let's look at AI test model generation, which is available in Xray Advanced and Enterprise. And this capability generates visual models of your system directly from requirement content. And these models help teams to understand their system behavior more deeply, identify gaps in requirements earlier, and improve test coverage with confidence. And this is especially valuable for complex systems where visualizing the flow can surface inconsistencies or missed scenarios before they cause defects. And now let's move on and see a demo of each of one of these features. And I'll pass the word over to Chris.
For the intro, Tony, and hello everyone. My name is Chris Scarice. I'm one of the product managers here at Xray, and I'm happy to give you a quick demo of Xray's first two AI features. Starting with AI test case generation, you'll notice this feature has multiple entry points throughout the UI, most notably here on the test repository. Also, within any drop-down menu to create tests, there will now be an option to create tests with AI, designated by the AI star. No matter where you enter the feature from, you'll end up in the same place, which is this new pop-up modal. You'll have three drop-down menus here, as well as a text box. The first one is to select what type of tests you'd like to create. Xray supports both manual and Cucumber tests, as well as any custom test type you have in your Jira instance, as long as they're of type steps or Gherkin. The second dropdown is going to be optional, and you can link any precondition you'd wish if you'd like these tests to be associated with certain precondition from your Jira instance. And similarly, the third dropdown is going to be to link any coverable issues. We'll leave this one blank for now as it is optional, and we'll move to the last, which is the text box. This is where you're going to provide information and context to the LLM. So I've inserted a sample prompt. This is going to be to create an online checkout feature. Once you have these information filled out, you can click the Generate Test Cases button, and this will be the first time you're sending information to the LLM. We have a two-step process here at Xray. The first step is going to give the LLM information about your requirements, and it's going to give back to you what it thinks are the necessary tests to cover those requirements. It will generate up to 60 tests at a time, but it will generate the minimum amount that it thinks is necessary to cover your requirements sufficiently. This time it generated 28 tests for me. Additionally, it will group these tests into topics. So the first topic it has here is core functional paths. The second topic it has is edge cases, input validation, and so on. So you can expand these down, and you can see all the tests within each topic. Additionally, you can preview the summary and description of each of these tests. If you'd like to make any edits, you can edit them at this stage before we send them back to the LLM a second time. If there's any tests that you think are unnecessary or you already have created in your test repository, you can uncheck them here and they won't be taken to the next step. The last thing you can do on this page is to select what folder within the test repository these tests will be sent to. The default would be the root folder, but if you'd like to send them to any folder specifically, you can select them here. So we can go ahead and select root. And lastly, there's an option to create subfolders within the destination folder based on the topic suggested by the LLM. So if you'd like these to be grouped into subfolders based on these topics, simple checkbox there that you can click before proceeding to the next step. Once you've reviewed all these tests, determined which ones you'd like to take to the next step, you're going to go ahead and click Review and Edit. This is the second time that we're sending information to the LLM, and now the LLM is actually going to generate all of the details and fields for the test necessary. So we're keeping the human touch within this process the entire way through. So we can go ahead and click into each of the tests we saw on the last page, and now we'll be able to see all of the details and all the fields it's going to fill in for us. Again, any summary description, you can make edits at this stage if you'd like to change anything, make sure everything looks good. Most importantly, you can go to the steps, make sure all of the steps are filled out to your liking. Action, data, expected result, and comments. Anything here you can click and edit as needed. You can also reorder the steps if necessary. And lastly is the configure fields, where you have additional fields that you can configure before these are created as regular tests within your Jira instance. If you want to increase or decrease the priority, you can do that. Select a parent or any labels. We do provide the default label of AI, which you can remove if you wish, but it is a great way to keep track of which tests are created by AI versus manually. So after you've reviewed each of these tests and determined that you'd like to create them, or if not, you can uncheck them, you're going to click the Create Test Cases button. And now these test cases, with all the data and fields that you just saw and edited and reviewed, are going to be created as regular Jira work items, just like any other tests you have in your instance, and you'll be able to access them, use them, edit them, all the same as you have before. One more thing I'd like to highlight about this feature is the entry point from a coverable issue. So this is a sample user story where I have the exact same prompt we just put into the AI feature previously. And you'll notice within the test coverage panel, there is again an entry point to the AI feature. So we can go ahead and click this. And one key difference is the linked coverable issue will be pre-filled with the user story that we entered from. So this will automatically be filled for us. And for this run through, we can select the cucumber test type just to see the difference. Another important feature is that now that we have the prompt within this coverable issue, we don't need to provide as much context in this test requirements box, but it is necessary to provide something. So we can provide a simple command like create test cases for the linked coverable issues and send this to the LLM as is. Now, similarly, we're going to see the tests come back on the first step, what the LLM thinks is necessary to cover these requirements. We can go ahead and click review and edit, assume that we went through all those, they all looked good. And now just to show you the difference, instead of steps, you have scenario here where you have the gherkin scenario. Again, you can go in, make any edits or changes to these if they're not to your liking, accept them, review all the tests, make sure they look good, go ahead and create the test cases. The last benefit here is after these test cases are created, since they had that linked coverable issue filled out, you will see that if we refresh the page on this story, all of the tests that were just created are already linked in Jira as covered by these tests. And with that, we'll move on to the demo for AI test model generation, which is an extension of Xray's existing test case designer feature. Starting at Xray Test Case Designer's homepage, let's take a look at building a new test model and leveraging the feature's new AI-powered capabilities. So we'll build a new test model and we'll name it Monopoly and click Create. As you'll see here, there's a new entry point for the AI features, and the AI-powered feature is going to be the most crucial step in building your test model. That's generating your parameters. So we can click the AI-powered feature here, and it'll give us a pop-up that says it needs the AI guidance, which we haven't set yet. So we'll provide it the AI guidance it needs. On this page, you can insert a small description on the left-hand side to cover your testing goals, as well as a larger, more detailed file upload. So on the left-hand side, we're going to put in a short prompt describing the rules of Monopoly and how we want the test model to create scenarios for us. And on the right-hand side, we're going to browse for a file and upload a PDF that I have for the rules of Monopoly. We can save both sides and confirm once this is ready. Now we're ready to use the AI guidance, and we can click Generate Parameters. What the AI is doing now is it's going through the file we provided along with the description, and it's going to automatically for us suggest the parameters that will go into creating the test model, which is the most crucial and most time-consuming step to using the Test Case Designer feature. So the AI will supercharge the feature essentially. What it spits out is a list of features, of parameters and their values. So we can scroll over to see all the values, and we can accept or reject each of these either one at a time or in bulk at the bottom, accept and reject all. So we can accept one at a time, we can reject any that we think we don't need, we can accept or reject specific values as well. Say we don't want it to allow us to play with 6, we can remove that as a possible value to the first parameter for player count. So let's say we like the rest of these, we can click accept all, and we have the start to our test model parameters. A couple more things we can do with the AI here is if we want to generate additional parameters, if there looks like there's missed any, we can click here and supply a little more context to the LLM. Say we want to focus on testing scenarios specifically for getting out of jail, add in that prompt and click generate parameters. And again, it's going to go back, review the files that we've provided it, and see what else it can give us in terms of that specifically. So it came up with jail release method, fine amount doubles, so on and so forth. Maybe we don't need this one. We can select and choose which we want to keep, and then choose to accept or reject all of the ones that are generated. Another thing we can do is if we want more values for a specific parameter, say we know there should be more ways to get out of jail, we can click to suggest more parameter values. And the AI is going to take a second look at this specific parameter and decide if it needs to add more ways to get out of jail. So it offered us 4 more. Say we like, trade with another player, definitely good. You can always trade for a get out of jail free card. We're going to accept that one. Maybe not the others. Role specific number, auction release, completed task. So we got one new one out of that. The last thing we can do with AI that's going to be new here is going to generate a new parameter. So say there's a parameter that we think is missing, but we're not completely sure what it is. We can stick with the jail topic and say, jail status, and then we can have the LLM generate parameter variations for us and see what it comes up with here. So from this keyword, it's going to take a look at the files we provided, the jail status, and give us a bunch of parameters it thinks. We can accept or reject them all one at a time or in bulk. See if we accept them all and click create. And they can't be duplicates. We'll just create that as jail status 2. So those are the AI additions to the existing Test Case Designer feature. And now moving on to our next 2 upcoming AI features. The first will be AI automated script generation, which leverages AI to turn your manual test cases into actionable scripts without needing extensive automation expertise. This feature aims to boost your team's productivity by automating tests, therefore cutting down your manual testing workload. The initial offering will support Selenium and Playwright frameworks, as well as Java and Python languages. Most importantly, it will all be accomplished with natural language guidance from the user. Let's take an exclusive sneak peek into the workflow while keeping in mind the feature development is still in progress. Starting from an existing test, there will be a new button to generate the automation script, which opens up the modal. Here you will select your framework and language, provide the test or test version name, and review the requirements linked to the test. Once done, you can simply provide your instruction to the AI assistant in the chat box. For simplicity here, we can write create an automated version of my test. Clicking Generate sends the request to our SymbiIQ backend, which then responds with description text as well as files for configurations, dependencies, and the test script itself. Notable here is that the description will contain a short list of to-do items which the user must perform before running the test script. This includes adding parameters like UI element IDs, base URLs, and so on. Additionally, if you require any changes or enhancements, you can continue by adding new requests in the chat box to make any adjustments necessary. This will again send the information to our SymbiIQ backend, which analyzes the new request and returns an improved output. So for here, we can write to specify that we want tests covering invalid usernames and password, and we can send that back to SymbiIQ, who's going to improve the output and return us a new file. Once this is done, we can download the files or copy them directly to your clipboard, and then click Create Automated Test to finish the workflow. This will create the new test or test version depending on your Xray license tier. Here we see the new test version has been created, and the user can also access the generated files. We can download them to our desktop, or we can replace them if at any time in the future these files need to be updated or replaced. Here we see the files being replaced, and we can also click to download, and all the files that are currently stored in the test will be downloaded as well. That's a quick preview to the functionalities for the automated script generation feature, and this is only some of the functionalities, not all of them, as the feature is still in development and not. Our other upcoming AI feature is AI test prioritization, which leverages AI's ability to consume large amounts of data in order to make intelligent suggestions. This feature analyzes your testing data in order to prioritize and optimize existing test plans and test executions, ensuring your team is running the most impactful or highest risk test cases first. The user provides basic text instruction to SymbiIQ, which then combines that with data on test run history, flakiness and failure rate, linked issues and bugs, and more. Then the feature re-ranks the tests within the current test plan or execution and assigns values for two new fields. The first field is AI priority, which will hold a value of very high, high, medium, or low. And the second field is AI reasoning. The AI reasoning field will be a short text description where the AI explains itself as to why each test was given the assigned priority. This allows us to peek into SymbiIQ's reasoning, not only to validate its justification, but also to increase the user confidence in the functionality. If you're interested in gaining early access to AI test prioritization, we are still recruiting candidates for our closed beta phase, which is set to begin next year. Lastly, I would like to highlight several current and upcoming Xray Rovo capabilities. Because Xray is natively integrated with Jira, there are already some valuable use cases, but there are also some limitations as well. Rovo has some knowledge of Xray data and documentation, and can do things like highlight your test plans and how they are distributed between assignees or statuses. This can help you assess your team's workload. Rovo can also summarize Xray documentation and create Confluence pages with specific instructions. Where Rovo is currently limited relates to your testing data that is stored within the Xray cloud instead of the Jira cloud. This includes things like your test runs, history, or status. Our team is currently looking into providing Xray users the option to enable Rovo to have context over this testing data. This would unlock context-aware intelligence to significantly increase Rovo's NLP reporting capabilities related to Xray data specifically. Additionally, this is the foundation needed to unlock all other Xray Rovo agent ideas, which our team continues to investigate for future consideration. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Tony for insights on Xray's app additions.
Thanks, Chris. Finally, let's talk about the new Xray Cloud app additions and how they give teams more flexibility in the plan they choose. With Atlassian's app additions, we can now offer multiple plans under one listing so that teams can choose the level of functionality that best fits their needs. For Xray Cloud, we now have two plans. Standard, which is ideal for smaller teams or those just starting out. This plan includes the core test management features and also supports AI test case generation. For the advanced plan, this is a new premium tier for growing QA teams that need more than the basics. This edition adds enhanced capabilities and also supports AI test case generation. Then we have Xray Enterprise, which is now a separate app designed for large organizations with more complex testing processes. Enterprise includes advanced features such as test case versioning, dynamic test plans, remote jobs trigger, and higher feature thresholds, faster support SLAs, and a dedicated account management. Enterprise supports both AI test case generation and AI test model generation. And overall, these additions give teams a clearer path to scale their testing as they continue to grow. And now let's move over and go straight into the Q&A.